Part 1. The Watchers Above. Commander Kira next stood at the observation deck of the stellar Voyager, her iridescent scales reflecting the starlight as she gazed at the mysterious object floating in the void before them. After centuries of looking up at the stars, the Nexer people had finally achieved their dream of deep space travel. But their first venture beyond their solar system had already yielded something unprecedented. "Commander," her science officer Zaren's voice crackled through the ship's comm system. "The readings are unusual. The object appears to be artificial, but its technology is far beyond anything in our database." The object in question was a sleek, dark satellite, almost invisible against the backdrop of space. Its surface seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, and its design spoke of engineering capabilities that made their most advanced technology look primitive in comparison. "How long has it been here?" Kira asked, her secondary eyes focusing on the detailed holographic readouts, while her primary pair remained fixed on the satellite. Based on the particle decay around it, Zaren paused, double-checking his calculations. Approximately 50 Earth years. The mention of Earth measurements wasn't coincidental. The Nexer had been picking up strange signals from that direction for decades, though they'd never managed to decode them. The signals had been one of the driving forces behind their space program. 50 years, Kira repeated softly. "They've been watching us for 50 years. As if responding to her words, the satellite suddenly came to life. A soft blue light emanated from its surface, and a beam of energy swept across the stellar Voyager. Kira's crew tensed, but their defensive systems registered no threat. "Commander," her communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission. It's in perfect Nexari." The holographic display in the center of the bridge flickered to life, revealing a figure that made every crew member stare in fascination. The being was Bikdal, with smooth skin instead of scales, and a covering of artificial materials that must have been clothing. A human. "Greetings, Commander Kira Nex of the stellar Voyager," the human spoke, their voice carrying a warmth that transcended species. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Sol Federation. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to the greater galaxy." Kira's mind raced. The humans knew her name, knew their language, knew their ship. Just how long had they been watching? And why? "I understand you have questions," Admiral Chen continued, seeming to read Kira's expression. "We've been anticipating this moment for a long time. Would you be willing to dock with our station? There's much we need to discuss." For the first time, Kira noticed the shimmer of a cloaking field dissolving in the distance, revealing a massive space station that had been hidden from their sensors. The structure was beautiful, a marvel of engineering that made their satellite stations look like children's toys. "Before you decide," Chen added, "I want you to know that we've been here for a reason. Your people have never been alone, Commander. We've been your silent guardians, protecting you as you grew, waiting for the day you'd reach the stars." Kira's crew looked to her, waiting for her decision. In their eyes, she saw the same mixture of fear, excitement, and curiosity that she felt. This was more than first contact. This was the revelation that their entire civilization had been under observation and protection without their knowledge. "The question isn't just why you've been watching us," Kira said, addressing Admiral Chen. "The question is, what were you protecting us from?" A shadow passed over Chen's face. "That, Commander, is precisely why we need to talk. The galaxy is more dangerous than you can imagine, but it's also more wonderful than you've dreamed. Your people are ready to learn the truth." With a gesture, Shen brought up a series of holographic images showing various points in Nexer history. Moments of crisis mysteriously averted, natural disasters that suddenly became less severe, and strange lights in the sky that their scientists had never been able to explain. "Every civilization reaches this moment," Chen explained. "The moment they discover they're not alone, and never were. How they react determines their place in the galactic community. How will your people react, Commander Kira Nex?" Kira studied the human's face, searching for any sign of deception. Instead, she found only openness and what appeared to be genuine concern for her people's well-being. She thought of all the mysteries in their history, all the unexplained phenomena that their scientists had struggled to understand. Had humans been behind it all? "We accept your invitation, Admiral Chen," Kira finally responded. "But we expect full honesty about your involvement in our history." Chen's expression softened with relief. "You have my word, Commander. Welcome to a much larger universe." As the stellar Voyager maneuvered toward the station, Kira couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into something far bigger than a simple first contact situation. The humans had been watching them for 50 years, protecting them from unknown threats, guiding their development from the shadows. The real question was, what had prompted such dedication to protecting an alien species? What dangers lurked in the darkness between the stars that made such protection necessary? As their ship approached the docking port, Kira knew they were about to find out. The massive station drew closer, its true scale becoming apparent as they approached. It was a city in space, a testament to human engineering and determination. And somewhere within its halls lay answers to questions Kira hadn't even known to ask. About the universe, about humanity's role in it, and about the true nature of their own history. One thing was certain. The Nexer people's understanding of their place in the universe was about to change forever. Part 2. Celestial Shepherds. The Sol Federation Station's briefing room was unlike anything Kira had ever seen. Three-dimensional star charts floated in the air, showing thousands of worlds, while holographic displays highlighted various alien civilizations at different stages of development. But what caught her attention most was the timeline of her own people's history projected on the main wall. 15 years ago, Admiral Chen was saying, "A rogue asteroid was on course to impact your southern continent. Your astronomers never saw it because we redirected it." She gestured, and the hologram showed a massive rock being subtly altered in its trajectory by what appeared to be human vessels. 23 years ago, Chen continued, "A solar flare of unprecedented magnitude would have devastated your atmosphere. We deployed shield satellites to deflect it." Another projection showed the massive wave of stellar energy being harmlessly diverted around Nexara. Kira's secondary eyes narrowed. "You're saying you've been actively intervening in our development, not just watching." "We had to," a new voice interjected. A tall human male stepped into the room, his uniform bearing different insignia from Chen's. "I'm Director Marcus Kane of the Galactic Defense Initiative. What you're about to learn, Commander Nex, is classified at the highest levels." Kane brought up a new hologram, this one showing a massive ship of distinctly alien design. Its surface was covered in what looked like organic growths, and its very presence seemed to distort space around it. "This was taken 30 years ago, at the edge of your solar system," Kane explained. "The Void Collective, a species that consumes emerging civilizations for their biological and technological resources. They would have stripped your world bare if we hadn't intervened." The hologram played out, showing human ships engaging the alien vessel. The battle was brief but intense, ending with the intruder retreating into deep space. "We've repelled 6 similar incursions over the past 50 years, Kane added quietly. Kira felt her scales ripple with shock. "Why? Why protect us?" Chen and Kane exchanged glances. "Because someone did the same for us," Chen replied softly. 200 years ago, humanity was where you are now, just reaching for the stars. We were young, vulnerable, and completely unaware of the dangers that lurked in space. The Arcturians found us first, thankfully. They protected us, guided us, helped us survive our first steps into the galactic community. Now we do the same for others," Kane added. "There are currently 47 civilizations under human protection across this sector of the galaxy alone. Some, like yours, are just discovering space travel. Others are still centuries away. We shield them all." The holographic displays shifted again, showing various worlds and species at different stages of development. Kira recognized some of the celestial phenomena around these planets, similar to unexplained occurrences in Nexer history. The Arcturians taught us that advanced civilizations have a responsibility to protect developing ones, Chen explained. They showed us that the galaxy operates on a principle of shepherding, the strong protecting the weak until they can protect themselves. And now we're ready to protect ourselves, Kira asked. Kane's expression turned grave. Not quite. You're ready to know the truth, to begin preparing. The galaxy is entering a dangerous phase, Commander. The Void Collective is growing bolder, and they're not the only threat out there. We need allies, partners who can stand with us. A new hologram appeared, showing a massive fleet of human ships alongside vessels of various alien designs. This is the Combined Defense Fleet. Every species we've protected and guided to the stars eventually joins us in protecting others. It's a cycle of guardianship that spans millennia. Kira watched as the hologram zoomed out, revealing the true scale of the alliance humanity had built. Hundreds of worlds, thousands of ships, all working together to protect developing civilizations from threats they never knew existed. We're offering you a choice, Chen said. You can remain under our protection, continue developing at your own pace, or you can join us. Learn our technology, train with our forces, become part of something greater. Either way, you'll never be alone against the darkness between the stars. The choice must be yours, Kane added. But know this, the Void Collective knows you're aware of them now. They'll be watching, waiting. The protection we've provided in secret will need to become more overt. Kira thought of her homeworld, of all the generations who had looked up at the stars in wonder, never knowing that guardians were watching over them. She thought of all the times humanity had quietly steered them away from disaster, asking nothing in return. Before I make any decisions, she said carefully, I need to know everything. Show me what we're really facing out there. Show me what humanity has been protecting us from. Chen nodded solemnly. Very well, Commander. But I warn you, some knowledge changes you forever. Are you sure you're ready? Kira's 4 eyes met Chen's 2 with unwavering determination. We've been ready for 50 years. We just didn't know it. As the briefing room darkened and new holograms began to form, Kira prepared herself to learn the true history of her species and the real nature of the galaxy they were about to join. The age of innocence was over. The age of guardianship was about to begin. The coming storm. The warning came 3 weeks after first contact. Kira was in the Sol Federation Station's combat training simulator when Admiral Chen's voice cut through the exercise. Commander Nex, report to strategic operations immediately. When she arrived, the atmosphere was tense. The holographic display showed a massive tear in space at the edge of Nexer territory. Director Kane was already there, his usual composed demeanor replaced by grim determination. The Void Collective, he said without preamble. They're done hiding. Our long-range sensors detected a fleet emerging from slit space, bigger than anything we've encountered before. The hologram zoomed in, revealing hundreds of biomechanical ships, their organic hulls pulsing with an eerie light. At their center was a vessel that dwarfed all others, a living city in space that seemed to devour light itself. They're making a statement, Chen added, her eyes fixed on the display. They know we've revealed ourselves to you, and they're responding with force. This isn't just an attack. It's a challenge to the entire protection protocol. Kira studied the tactical display, her secondary eyes tracking movement patterns while her primary pair focused on the fleet's formation. How long do we have? 4 days at their current speed, Kane replied. We're mobilizing everything we can, but our nearest battle group is 6 days out. We'll have to hold with what we have here. Chen brought up an inventory of their available forces. The station's defensive fleet was impressive. 30 human warships, including 2 dreadnoughts. But against the approaching armada, it seemed woefully inadequate. What about our ships? Kira asked. The Nexer Defense Force was small but growing, with 15 vessels that could be ready for combat. We've been training with your simulators. My people are quick learners. Kane and Chen exchanged looks. "Are you sure your crews are ready for this?" Chen asked carefully. "There's no shame in evacuating to safer territory. We can protect your civilian population." Kira's scales shifted to a deeper blue, a sign of resolute determination in her species. "With respect, Admiral, we've been under your protection for 50 years. It's time we stood beside you, not behind you." A small smile crossed Chen's face. "I was hoping you'd say that." She activated a communication channel. "Begin Operation Shattered Veil." The station came alive with activity. Panels slid away revealing hidden weapon systems, and massive shield generators hummed to life. In orbit around Nexara, cloaked defense platforms that had lain dormant for decades began powering up. "We've been preparing for this possibility," Kane explained as they walked to the command center. "Every satellite we placed in your system has defensive capabilities. Every observation post doubles as a military installation. We never just watched. We fortified." The next 3 days were a blur of preparation. Human technicians worked alongside Nexar engineers, upgrading their ships with shield technology and weapon systems that had been deliberately withheld until now. Combat training ran around the clock, with human veterans teaching Nexar crews everything they could about fighting the Void Collective. Kira learned that humanity had developed specific tactics against the biomechanical ships. "They think collectively," a human tactical officer explained. "But that's their weakness. Hit them hard enough in one place, and the shock ripples through their entire network. It's like giving a hive mind a migraine." The Nexar brought their own innovations to the planning. Their four-eyed vision allowed them to process combat data in ways humans couldn't, leading to new tactical possibilities. Their ships, though less advanced, were more maneuverable. Together, they began developing strategies that played to both species' strengths. On the evening before the expected engagement, Kira stood with Chen in the station's observation dome, watching their combined fleet perform final maneuvers. "I need to show you something," Chen said quietly. She produced a small data crystal. "This is footage from Earth's first encounter with the Void Collective, 200 years ago. The Arcturians saved us, but not before we lost millions. We've carried that lesson ever since." The recording showed scenes of devastation that made Kira's hearts clench. Entire cities consumed by living darkness, the sky filled with biomechanical horrors. But it also showed humanity's resistance, their refusal to submit even in the face of overwhelming odds. "Why show me this now?" Kira asked. "Because tomorrow, your people join a brotherhood forged in starfire," Chen replied. "Every species we protect eventually faces this moment, their trial by fire. How they face it determines their future in the galactic community." A tactical alert flashed across the displays. The Void Collective had accelerated. They would arrive in 6 hours, not 12 as predicted. "They're trying to catch us off guard," Kane's voice came through the comm. "All ships, battle stations. This is not a drill." Kira turned to head to her ship, but Chen caught her arm. "Commander," she said softly, "whatever happens tomorrow, know that humanity is proud to fight beside the Nexar. You've already proven yourselves worthy of the stars." As Kira made her way to her vessel, she felt the weight of history upon her. For 50 years, humanity had guarded her people from the shadows. Now it was time to prove they deserved that protection, and to help guard others in turn. The coming battle would reshape the galaxy's balance of power, but more importantly, it would forge a new alliance, one born of shared sacrifice and common cause. As her ship's engines powered up, Kira knew that win or lose, nothing would ever be the same. The storm was coming, and this time, the Nexar would face it standing shoulder to shoulder with their former guardians, ready to earn their place among the stars. Trial by fire. The Void Collective's fleet emerged from slip space like a nightmare given form. Their biomechanical ships twisted reality around them, their organic hulls pulsing with sickly light. At the helm of the stellar defender, Kira felt her scales ripple with a mixture of fear and determination. "All ships, combat positions." Admiral Chen's voice came through clear and steady. "Remember your training. We hold this line, no matter the cost. The combined human Nexar fleet formed up in a three-dimensional defensive grid. Human dreadnoughts formed the backbone, their massive hulls bristling with weapons. Nexar vessels took up flanking positions, their superior maneuverability key to their battle strategy. Enemy fleet launching attack craft. Kane reported from the station's command center. Multiple biosignatures. They're trying to overwhelm our point defenses. The first wave hit like a tsunami. Thousands of smaller organisms, each the size of a fighter craft, swarmed toward their lines. The void between fleets lit up with energy weapons and plasma fire. Kira's ship dove through the chaos, leading a squadron of Nexar vessels. Their four-eyed pilots processed the complex battlefield with unprecedented accuracy, allowing them to thread through gaps in the enemy formation that human pilots might have missed. Squadron 7, new targets, Kira called out. Focus fire on their command nodes. Human intel says they're the glowing structures near their engine cores. The Nexar ships struck with surgical precision. Their weapons might have been less advanced, but their accuracy was unmatched. Several void ships spasmed as their command nodes were destroyed, their hive mind connection disrupted. But the collective adapted quickly. Their largest vessel, the living city ship, pulsed with dark energy. Suddenly, the swarm's tactics changed, becoming more aggressive, more unpredictable. They're learning. Chen's voice was tense. All ships, fall back to secondary positions. Prepare for Phase 2. As the fleet reformed, Kira saw the true scope of humanity's preparation. Hidden defense platforms around Nexara activated, revealing weapons that had lain dormant for decades. The station itself transformed, sections shifting to reveal massive cannon emplacements. Now, Kane ordered. Every hidden defense opened fire simultaneously. The carefully orchestrated barrage caught the Void Collective in a deadly crossfire. Their forward elements were shredded, but still they pressed on, driven by their hive consciousness. Commander Nex, Chen called out. We're detecting a power surge in their city ship. They're preparing something big. Kira's secondary eyes caught a pattern in the enemy's movement. They're not preparing to attack, she realized. They're preparing to feed. Look at their formation. It's the same pattern they use when consuming a world. The city ship's maw began to open, revealing an abyss that seemed to drink in light itself. Energy tendrils reached out, probing toward Nexara. All power to the planetary shield, Kane ordered. But Kira saw what the humans couldn't. The tendrils weren't aiming for the planet. They're targeting the star, she shouted. The stellar readings match our ancient records of solar flares. They're going to trigger a massive ejection. Chen's response was immediate. All ships, new priority. We need to collapse their containment field before they can harness that energy. Nexar squadrons, your maneuverability is crucial. Get in close and target these coordinates. The next few minutes were chaos. Nexar ships dove through gaps in the collective's defenses, while human vessels provided covering fire. Kira's ship took heavy damage, but they pressed on, approaching the massive city ship. We need a direct hit on their primary energy conduit. Kane's voice crackled through damaged comm systems, but their point defenses are too strong. We can't get close enough. That's when Kira saw it, a pattern in the city ship's defense grid, visible only to her species' unique vision. All Nexar ships follow my lead. There's a resonance frequency in their shield matrix. Time your shots with the pulses. The combined squadron fired in perfect synchronization. Their weapons struck at exactly the right moment, when the city ship's shields were at their weakest. The massive vessel shuddered as critical systems were destroyed. Energy buildup destabilizing, Chen reported. Their containment field is collapsing. All ships, clear the blast radius. The city ship's attempt to harness the star's energy backfired spectacularly. The massive vessel imploded, taking a significant portion of the collective fleet with it. The remaining enemy ships, their hive minds suddenly fragmented, fell into disarray. Press the advantage, Kane ordered. Don't let them regroup. The combined fleet surged forward, human and Nexar ships fighting as one. Without their central coordination, the Void Collective vessels were picked apart by the superior tactics of the Allied forces. Hours later, as the last enemy ships retreated into slip space, Kira stood on the station's observation deck with Chen and Kane. The space around Nexara was littered with debris, but their world was safe. "Your people fought well," Chen said quietly. "The way you spotted that shield frequency. We've been fighting the Collective for centuries, and we never saw that pattern." "Different perspectives lead to new solutions," Kira replied. "Isn't that why you protect developing civilizations? To preserve unique ways of thinking?" Kane nodded, and today proved the wisdom of that policy. "This victory belongs to both our peoples." As they watched recovery ships beginning their work, Kira realized something profound. Humanity hadn't just been protecting the Nexar. They had been preparing them for this moment, waiting for the day when both species could stand together as equals. The battle was over, but its implications would echo through the galaxy. The Nexar had proven themselves worthy not just of protection, but of partnership, and somewhere out there, other young civilizations were taking their first steps toward the stars, watched over by their own silent guardians. New Dawn. 1 year after the Battle of Nexara, Commander Kira Nex stood on the observation deck of humanity's newest Guardian station. Below, her homeworld sparkled like a jewel, but it was the activity in orbit that drew her attention. Construction vessels moved purposefully through space, building what would become the Nexar's first major defensive installation. "Quite a change from last year," Admiral Chen said, joining her at the window. "Your people have adapted remarkably well to everything." Kira's scales shifted in a pattern of pride. The past year had transformed Nexar society. The revelation of humanity's long vigil, followed by the Void Collective's attack and their joint victory, had united her people in ways she'd never imagined possible. "We had good teachers," she replied. "Though I still can't believe you're putting us in charge of protecting Sector 7. Chen smiled. "Every Guardian was once guarded. The Arcturians gave us our sector to protect when we were ready. Now it's your turn." The holographic display activated, showing a cluster of stars that would be the Nexar's responsibility. Within that space, 3 young civilizations were taking their first steps toward the stars, unaware that they were being watched and protected. "Have you chosen your first observation team?" Kane asked, entering the room with a datapad. "Yes," Kira said. "We're focusing on the Meridians first. Their space program is advancing quickly, and our analysts predict first contact readiness within 20 years. The display shifted to show a beautiful aquatic world where a species of amphibious beings was just beginning to launch their first satellites. The Nexar had been studying them for months, learning the art of silent guardianship from their human mentors. "The Council of Guardians meets next month," Chen mentioned. "You'll be there to formally accept your role." Kira nodded. The Council, composed of representatives from every advanced species in the protection network, was the real power behind galactic stability. Humanity held a prominent position, but they were just one of many ancient races dedicated to shepherding young civilizations. "I've been studying the archives you shared," Kira said. "The pattern repeats throughout history. Advanced civilizations protecting developing ones, guiding them, preparing them for the dangers of space. It's like a great chain of mentorship stretching back millions of years. And now the Nexar are part of that chain," Kane added. "Your experience gives you a unique perspective. You remember what it was like to be washed over, to be protected without knowing it. That knowledge will make you better guardians." A alert chimed softly, drawing their attention to a new holographic display. It showed a massive fleet of ships emerging from slit space at the edge of the sector. But these weren't hostile vessels. They were the combined forces of the Guardian races, arriving for the upcoming ceremony. "The Arcturians are here early," Chen noted as a particularly elegant vessel took up position near the station. "They're eager to meet your people. They say your victory over the Void Collective reminded them of humanity's early days." Kira watched as ships of various designs, representing dozens of advanced civilizations, filled the space around her world. Each of them had once been like the Nexer, young and vulnerable, watched over by older races until they were ready to join the Guardians. We've identified 17 more civilizations approaching spaceflight capability, Kane said, bringing up a new display. The galaxy is entering a period of rapid expansion. We'll need every Guardian race working together to protect them all. And the Void Collective? Kira asked. Any sign of them since the battle? They're rebuilding, Chen admitted, but they'll think twice before challenging a protected world again. The loss of their city ship was a significant blow. A new alert drew their attention. A Nexer long-range probe had detected unusual energy readings from a distant star system. Initial analysis suggested it might be artificial in nature, perhaps another young civilization taking its first steps into the cosmic community. Your first potential discovery, Chen smiled. What are your orders, Guardian? Kira studied the readings carefully, thinking of all the protocols and procedures she'd learned over the past year. But more importantly, she thought of what it meant to be watched over, to be protected by unseen allies until you were ready to stand on your own. Launch observation satellites, she commanded. Minimal presence, maximum coverage. If there's someone out there taking their first steps toward the stars, they deserve the same chance we had. The same protection humanity gave us. As her orders were carried out, Kira reflected on how far her people had come. From a civilization unaware of its celestial guardians to becoming guardians themselves, the great chain of mentorship continued, strengthened by each new link. You know, Chen said quietly, 50 years ago, when we first began watching your world, some questioned whether the Nexer would be ready for this responsibility. Today, there's no doubt. Beyond the station, the first Nexer long-range observation vessels disappeared into slip space, heading out to take up their vigil over unknown worlds. They carried with them the lessons learned from humanity, the importance of patience, of careful guidance, and of knowing when to step from the shadows. The age of being protected was over. The age of protecting others had begun. And somewhere out there, young civilizations were taking their first uncertain steps toward the stars, unaware that they were being watched over by silent guardians who had once been just like them. The great cycle continued, as it had for millions of years, and in the vast darkness between the stars, countless young species slept peacefully, guarded by races who understood that the greatest duty of an advanced civilization was to ensure that new ones had their chance to reach for the stars.